2020, an estimated 18.2 million Americans knew how to crochet, while 21.3 million Americans knew how to knit. So as you can see, both are very popular hobbies, but crocheting isn't as popular. So today I would like to tell you and teach you about one of my favorite hobbies, which is crocheting. So on a rainy day, like when you're bored, or in the summer when you don't have any activities going on, maybe on a long car ride, we all have something that we do to keep ourselves busy. And for me, that thing is crocheting. So I've been crocheting since I was in 2nd grade, and my grandma Pat is the one who taught me how to. So since I learned, I really haven't stopped. So I've been doing it for about 8 years now, which is a long time. So I just want to teach you more about it. And I think that crocheting is a fun activity that gives you enjoyment along with other benefits too. So I'm going to be demonstrating how to make something called a granny square. All of these little squares that you see on this thing are granny squares, but I'm not making one with a flower in it because that's more difficult and would take longer. So I chose this because it's like a basic thing you learn in crocheting. When you learn, this is what you do because you can use it to make things like blankets, pillows, hats, coasters, like anything you want. So you start by making a slip knot. I don't know if you know what a slip knot is, but you just take it and instead of taking like this side, you pull it through so it makes a loop, and then if you mess up, you can just undo it. So you make a slip knot, put your hook through, and then you just chain 4, which means you pull the yarn through the loop like this 4 times. And then you're gonna put your hook back into the first one you made, and pull your yarn through so it makes a little circle. And this is how you start all your squares. And then you're gonna chain 2 again, which is just pulling your yarn through. And this whole time you're gonna use something called double crochets, which are like a single crochet is if you pull your yarn through your hook once, so a double crochet would be you pull it through twice. So you just put your yarn over your hook, it's kind of hard to see, but you put it through the middle and pull it through, and then you're gonna pull through 1 time and twice. And there are 4 sections, so it makes a square, and they each have corners, but you're gonna do it 3 times for each of the sections. So there's 1, and then after you do it 3 times, you chain 2. So that is what makes the corners. So I'll finish this row, and then as I'm doing that, I can tell you more about crocheting. So yeah, I've made a lot of things using these. They're pretty easy to make, and like after you've been doing it for longer, you can talk and do it, or I like to do it when I watch movies because I get bored just sitting and watching a movie, so I like to be doing something, and this is what I do. After you've been doing it for longer, you don't really need to follow a pattern either. Like after you kind of figure out what everything does, you can make up and do whatever you want. You can really make anything. Something great about crocheting is it's a really popular thing for like small businesses. Like there are a lot of small businesses that crochet things. So it's a good way to make money. And when I learned, I was in 2nd grade, so I wasn't old enough to have a job. So I would sell things like on Facebook or to my friends or like to my mom's coworkers, and I made a lot of money from that actually. So after you finish your first row, you can't really tell, but once it starts going, the corners get more defined and it turns into a square. So then each time you get to a corner, you do 2 of the sections and then chain 2 and keep moving on. So even more than just making money from crocheting, you can also get a lot of other, like the main thing is mental health benefits. So sitting down for hours and working on the same project can improve your concentration and your attention span. It teaches you problem solving skills because like when you make a mistake, you would have to undo the whole row, which would take a really long time. So instead of doing that, you just kind of learn like what you could do to fix it instead of undoing your hours of work, which would be very upsetting. A big part is it's a good activity for kids because I don't know if you've heard of like fine motor skills. Those are really important for kids. It just kind of teaches them how to use their hands and like those skills that they would need. And crocheting is a safe way to do that because it's impossible to hurt yourself. So it's a really good thing for kids, and it reduces your stress and anxiety. So my mom is a special ed teacher at the elementary school, and she has a student who she PCAs for, which just means that the student comes over to our house like not during school hours, and my mom just kind of teaches her other social skills and things that she couldn't learn in school because it's one-on-one. And she struggles with anxiety, so I taught her how to crochet, and now it's one of her favorite things to do. My mom took some of my yarn and my hooks and brought it to school so she can do it as a reward, like when she's good. And she could do anything, like they get snacks, they could play games, or they could go outside and hang out with their friends, but she chooses to crochet, which I think is really cool because it just kind of shows that she loves it. She's benefited from that so much, and it really has increased her focus. That was another thing that was kind of a struggle, but it helped her a lot. So yeah, I'm almost done with my second row, but crocheting is just, it's a really fun hobby, and it has kind of a reputation for being like a grandma hobby. It seems boring, but I think it's fun, and it might be boring if you just sat down and only did this, but if you do it along with other things, then it's fun. So I think that everyone could try it at some point in their life, but maybe it's not for you, and that's okay too. I think you should try it because of all the benefits, but after listening to the speech, I hope you've learned something about it, and you might want to try it yourself, you might not. But yeah, thank you for listening to my speech.